Labor Lounge, welcome back. How's everybody doing this evening? We back with another episode taking a deep dive into the keto program. Today, I'm going to be showing you some things where you can stay encouraged, some tips that I use to be successful on the keto program. As we get into that, I'm going to be sharing a clip with everybody. We'll review it for a little bit, and then we'll get into the 3 tips that help me really be successful. I think with anything, you have to have a program and you have to be intentional about what it is that you're doing. So without further ado, I don't want to make this video too long. Let's go ahead and get into the clip, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it.
Jen here with your prescription for wellness and an answer on this medical topic you're asking about today. This question did not come from me, Dr. Jen, but our viewer asks, is the keto diet good for you and sustainable?
Well, I think the short answer, overwhelming, and I'm saying this not only as a doctor but as a nutritionist, is it can be and it can be. Okay, those are the keys. Is it good for you and is it sustainable? Medical literature clearly shows it is probably the most effective for rapid weight loss. So oftentimes before a patient goes for bariatric or weight loss surgery, it will be recommended that he or she follow a keto diet because you can lose weight very, very quickly. And then, of course, there's a lot in the literature about its benefits for people with certain types of neurologic conditions, epilepsy, seizures. There's some theories that it can reduce the recurrence risk of certain types of cancers. Is it for everyone? No. But can it be part of a healthy eating plan? Absolutely. You've been following it for six years now.
I mean, and look, I'm not always strict with it. I would consider now I've kind of ebbed into a low carb diet.
Right.
Because it is when you actually are in a state of ketosis, that is an extreme way to live.
That's right. And I think the nutritionist will say that what you're missing is potentially fiber, whole grains, some other fruits and vegetables that really, if you're strict keto, you're going to be avoiding. It is high in saturated fat. For a while when I was following that diet, I did see my bad cholesterol go up somewhat. Which is part of the reason why I'm now pescatarian. But I think, it's not for everyone. If you want to follow any type of diet, whether it's strict or not, ideally you want to have a healthcare provider and or a dietitian or nutritionist on board, or at least do your research.
Like you say, one size does not fit all.
That is correct.
All right. So looking at that video, I do agree with most of the things that were being said inside of this video. It's not for everybody. It is a stressful situation when you're going through the keto program. I mean, you're essentially taking out many of the things that you may have known growing up, but it can have huge benefits if executed properly. One of the things she said at the end, you want to have a great relationship with your physician, right? If I say so myself, I've created a great relationship with my doctor, and it was based off of the fact that I was doing something positive for myself, and it took me from a point of avoiding going to the doctor. Now I'm getting up and almost excited to go to the doctor, like, because I have something to prove. Like, yeah, I'm going to show you, many of the reasons we avoid going to the doctor in the first place is because you're trying to avoid bad news. But now that I've found this new lifestyle and I've gotten to a point to where, I'm feeling really good, I have a great relationship with my doctor. So I encourage everybody who's going through any kind of diet program, have a great relationship with your doctor so they can kind of guide you through some of the pros and cons of what it is that you're doing, because everybody is cut differently. But let's get into some of the tips that I actually use to maintain my keto program and actually just make it kind of easy, because when you get down to the grassroots of it, the keto program is basically controlling your carbohydrates and controlling the sugar that you intake. And by doing this, you create an environment within the body that puts you into ketosis, which is basically burning fat for fuel, right? And like they said, you can lose weight very quickly on the program, but it has to be done safely too, which is where your physician comes in at. So the first tip that I would use is keep it simple. Don't make it more complicated than it has to be when you're starting out. It's meat and veggies. Just go at it that way. And by doing that, you start the process. You definitely want to have an intermittent fasting program going on when you're doing keto, but starting out, I think it's important that you just get used to eliminating these things from your diet. All of your sweets, your your coffee with the 2 scoops of sugar, or whatever creamer it is that you're using, any candies you may be consuming, the starchy foods that you're eating. You gotta rewire yourself, right? So you're eliminating all this stuff from your diet, and that's stressful in itself. So I would just start there. Keep it simple. Eat whatever meats it is you like to eat. Eat the vegetables you like to eat, and then come up with different varieties of ways to have those things that you actually like. And then as time goes on and you educate yourself more and more on this diet, on the things that you can add, the things you want to avoid, how to read your labels, then you can start playing around and getting deeper into the program. But to start out, don't make it difficult for yourself. Keep it simple. Stick to your fruits. Stick to your stick to your veggies, and stick to your meats. If you are going to have fruits, and this is something you have to have in your diet, you keep it to berries, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, and we'll get into those things because that goes into the macronutrients of what the keto diet and the things that you should have. Number two, I avoided anything that was marketed for keto. And the reason I say this is when you see items marketed for keto, you got to think behind that there's somebody that's trying to make a profit on it, right? But they have to have something that they can make palatable, and it has to be something that they can push on you, because sometimes just being on a program is not enough. Think about how many you've seen. You got paleo diet, South Beach diet, now we got keto diet. So they're pushing everything at you keto. But the thing is, if you don't understand what it is you're consuming, you don't understand how to read labels, they hide things in there that can slow you down. Perfect example. I started drinking my coffee black when I started the keto program. But as I've gotten almost 2 years into this now, you kind of have a taste for something. So I would go to the stores and I bought this creamer that's sugar-free hazelnut. And I brought it home and I was enjoying this. Now, it didn't impact me like significantly, but when I finally did turn the bottle around to read the label, the first ingredient on it was corn syrup. So how could you market something to me sugar free, but the first ingredient is corn syrup, right? That's a direct contradiction. But there's things where they can put so much and it's considered sugar free still. So anything really marketed keto, I just tried to avoid because it just made it that much easier for me. The more I controlled what I was consuming, the better off I was. So anything marketed keto, I stayed away from it. Again, tip number one, stick to the fruits and veggies. You can't go wrong with those. It does get boring, but again, this is where you get onto your platforms. I'm sure people out there, you have Pinterest, they have all kind of ideas out there. YouTube University, they got all kind of ideas out there. You can go anywhere and find a recipe using the vegetables and the meats that you like to use. Make it interesting for yourself. You're going to become quite the chef on the keto diet. And then the last tip, just to keep it plain and simple, cold pressed oils. Stop using vegetable oils. Anything that's highly processed, you want to kind of avoid. Not kind of, you want to avoid altogether. Ultimately, those oils digest better. They're better for you. And the vegetable oils, the corn oils, the canola oils, they help aid in inflammation. And the keto diet works directly against that. So if you have these cold pressed oils, you're going to feel better. Once you get into your program and you actually hit a state of ketosis and you're rocking and rolling, the oil you use matters. Not to get all scientific with it, but you want to avoid inflammation in these cold pressed oils, avocado oil, olive oil. These are the oils that you want to use. Even butter. Butter is good for you from a keto standpoint. But make sure you control it. Anything in excess is not good for you. But those are my 3 tips. And if you can get started with those 3 tips, you can find yourself being very successful on keto. Like I said, I put myself through a 21-day challenge, and I look at myself today and I can barely recognize myself. I mean, sometimes I look at some of the old pictures and it's like, man, I was really walking around like that. And, you think that's just the way that you have to be. And that's just not the case. When you become intentional about what you do, you can get out here and you can make a difference. And I don't care what program you run, whether it be keto, paleo, South Beach, any diet plan, any lifestyle change that you go through, The main thing is remain consistent and give it a chance to work. The results do not happen overnight. Some programs work quicker than others, but at the end of the day, you have to be consistent. You have to be disciplined. You have to be self-motivated. Don't look for people to motivate you. You got to get up and go after it yourself, because again, you're doing this for you and you're not doing it for nobody else. So those are my tips in this video. I'm going to come back with another video, and it's actually going to be talking about how I built a great relationship with my doctor, because, I think that's a good thing too. We got to really be intentional about being healthy. It's a lot going on right now. We're just getting to this point of post-COVID, right? We're waiting on the next thing that's going to come around. So we really want to have great relationships with our doctors. We want to make sure that we're putting ourselves in the best position to fight anything that may come along. So that's going to be one of my next videos coming out along the keto journey. And I look forward to keeping those videos coming out, because I really enjoy doing this with you guys. So to all my Ketonians and all my subscribers out there for the Labor Lounge, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead, take a minute, hit that button, the like button, and share with a friend or two. And then I'll come back with the next video. It'll be next week. I'll see y'all then. Y'all have a good night. Thanks for tuning in.